Welcome to Authentic Storytelling. I'm your host, Linda Joy, storytelling guide, best-selling publisher at Inspired Living Publishing, and the publisher of the beloved Aspire magazine. I am so grateful that you're circling up for another episode of Authentic Storytelling. You know, one of the reasons that I do what I do is I believe our experiences, our journey, our wisdom that we've picked up along the way of that journey can really touch, empower, inspire other women on their journey. So throughout this authentic storytelling episodes and series, you're going to meet empowered women like my special guest on Michele Jackson, who share the wisdom, insights, lessons, and transformation that they experienced writing their sacred soul story. Because what you will notice, as I've been noticing as host, is that through each woman's soulful conversation, you're going to discover how those lessons can empower you to rewrite the stories you're telling yourself so you can craft a new one that aligns with the highest truth of who you are. As with every episode, I love to start with an inspiring quote from my guest's story. And I think this one's going to really speak to you. So I just want you to drop into your heart as we start this conversation. I believe that we don't drop into each other's lives haphazardly. There's always a purpose, but sometimes it takes time to discover that purpose. And, as you listen to those words, I want you to think back maybe to a time in your life where you wasn't sure how things were unfolding. And now you look back and go, oh, that's what that was about. So my special guest is Michele Jackson. As an advanced grief recovery specialist, certified infinite possibilities trainer, women's retreat facilitator, registered nurse, and Amazon best-selling author, Dawn's primary focus is to guide individuals through healing their hearts, transforming their lives, and rediscovering joy. Driven by a profound mission, as you'll discover, she is dedicated to helping individuals uncover their inner light and make the profound shift from surviving to thriving. I know that shift, right? I'm sure many of you have had that experience, like we are so done just getting through life. It's time to thrive. Dawn skillfully supports her clients to achieve holistic wellness of mind, body, and spirit. And you can learn more at dawnmichellejackson.com. And as always, in the show notes down below, you can find Dawn's full bio as well as the links to her website. Welcome, Dawn.
Thank you, Linda. I'm so happy to be here and talk about our book that came out this year.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I wanted to do this series is I think all of us go through life with this story, actually many stories, that we pick up along the way that are keeping us limited, keeping us in, I don't know, a place of smallness, a place of surviving life instead of thriving. And the reason I wanted to do this series is show the power of storytelling to change your narrative, your inner narrative as well as your outer narrative. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start with the question number one, because as you know, writing the story was not just, hey, let me put pen to paper, I'm going to share the story and be published. The authentic storytelling model is a really deep dive, and it brings up some of the stuff that we all thought we healed from living the story. And we find out that a year, 5 years, or a decade later, there's still lessons to be learned from that story. Mm-hmm. So what would you say is the key theme or life lesson that was shared in your story?
Linda, I really think a couple of messages came out in my story, and one of them is there is a divine plan for all of our lives. I didn't realize that when I was going through some of my most difficult days and years. I was struggling to stay afloat and survive. And, I didn't know how I was going to make it through the next day or the next month or the next year. And as I look back on my life, I've realized that all along there was a divine plan and that there were messengers that kept showing up in my life. Sometimes they were there to help me move towards something that would serve me in a higher spot in my life. Sometimes they were just there to open a new door or give me a message. But these people that have showed up in my life have really helped me become who I am today and lead me to some of the opportunities that I've experienced.
Which is so beautiful because the name of your story is Angel in Disguise, right? And just by what you just shared now, it's like how many times do angels come into our life and we, and when I use the word angels, it's, in the earth form, right? As well as divine form. But a lot of times when they show up in our lives, we might not recognize them as that we're being guided. And so when I read your story, it just really resonated with some of the experiences I've had in my life where I look back now and go, oh my God, that was an earth angel.
Mhm.
Because it might not have been a big moment or they deliver this powerful message, but it was so nuanced that I think my soul and my heart knew to trust the guidance I was receiving to take the next step.
Right.
Is that what it felt like to you in those moments of, earth angels showing up in your life?
Well, at the time, I didn't realize that they were showing up as messengers. It was just somebody new that was stepping in. And I was so miserable in my current life that I chose to move towards this individual that was there to kind of carry me along, give me some wings. And so, looking back, I've been able to put all this together and realize what was going on and that there was a divine plan. But in the middle of it, I felt really stuck.
We've all been there, Donna. I think
Mhm.
every woman listening, if you're feeling stuck right now, you're not alone. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with you. There's support and earth angels all around you. One of the things I found in my own journey, and I'm curious, is even in our darkest days, even in our struggles, right? We still have to kind of remain open to possibility, or we won't see these earth angels. We won't be open to receiving guidance that comes, or that supportive person that comes in our life magically and says, hey, I believe in you. I've had so many women come in my life over the last 40 years. Like, I believe in you. They saw something in me that I was not yet seeing in myself.
Right.
That's what they were for you, right? They were
Mhm.
mirrors to help you see your value, your worth, your wisdom. And look at you now bringing that out to others.
Mhm.
So, as you discovered, Dawn, in throughout the authentic storytelling process, and I reiterate this in every episode, it is so much more than a publishing process. And that's what the series is about. It's about the wisdom cultivated within our journeys and stories. And so I see authentic storytelling just personally, and I've been a publisher for 14 years and have published over 300 women. I see it as a way to connect with your higher self. When you're writing that story, like look at the insights. You knew the lived experience, but as you dove into the story, it's like you come back into that energy and you're like, oh, look at the insights that I had. Look at the wisdom. So my question for you is, how did writing your story using this authentic storytelling model
Mhm.
um, help heal, empower, or inspire you on your own personal development journey?
So, what was interesting for me is I have done lots of healing on parts of my life that, hurt my heart. But when I've spoken about my life, it's all in different segments. And this authentic storytelling process brought the whole story together and it really connected the dots. And so for me, I felt a deep sense of gratitude in my life for, I don't want to give the story away, but for the one messenger that really showed up as an angel in my life, I really dropped into that gratitude by writing this story. So it was another layer of healing and being able to look back on these life experiences that were really difficult to navigate and seeing the bigger picture, the divine plan, and just feeling that gratitude.
I love that. The sense of gratitude an appreciation for the journey of where you were and where you are today and the helpers that came along the way. It really resonates with me because it's that sense of gratitude for me every day, but especially in those moments when we look back and go, I don't know if I ever thanked that person, because at
Right.
the time you didn't know that they were making such a big impact in your life. You were just living the experience. But
Yes,
fast forward now and you look back, and there is a sense of deep appreciation. But I also think it's the appreciation and gratitude can't come if you don't do your inner work, because then you're always looking and chasing the next thing. I love
correct.
to be really still and go, listen, yes, that was a painful experience I went through, but I look where I am now. I am so thankful for the experiences, because we wouldn't be who we are today without those experiences.
That's true.
And yeah, like I can look back on my life and I have no regrets or shame of any of my experiences, even though for many years I carried those two bags around, really. They were heavy. And one day I was like, I am done carrying that. They made me who I am, and I'm going to
Right.
embrace that. And I'm going to take the wisdom from those experiences, those stories, and craft a new story. And that's what authentic storytelling is about. And when you just brought up about gratitude, it's like you had that experience too, right? You released the weight of the stories and moved forward with the blessings.
Yeah, it helped me realize that I had been keeping myself stuck for so long, stuck in old beliefs, stuck in stories from my past. And by looking at my journey with a different set of eyes, I was able to see how everything lined up perfectly in my life to help push me out of the nest, per se, and become who I was meant to become and be able to offer my gifts to others, help others heal.
Yeah, and I think for this whole series, and ladies, when you're listening and watching the series, even though you're noticing that, even though the questions are the same for every guest, the wisdom, the insights, the spiritual knowledge that comes through is so, to me, there's no accidents. Because I've listened back to a few since I've started taping, and I've heard messages I needed to hear in the moment. It's been really blowing us away. And one of the things for me too is I really truly believe that if I had followed, and this is my own truth, ladies, and you can tap in and then we'll ask Dawn to share. I have no doubt today that what I am doing in the world today, publisher, radio host, all of it, spiritual mindset coach, I couldn't be doing if I didn't have those life experiences. I have a deeper level of self-compassion, love, non-judgment for women who have gone through these journeys, because I've had so much life experience of struggle, overcoming, standing strong, right? And I see now I was being prepared for my spiritual work in the world. And Dawn, I know you enough from our personal conversations and your own beautiful journey. And again, her story is called Angel in Disguise, that you've turned and I've turned mine, mess into your message.
Oh, definitely. I very much believe that my life has put me in a position to be able to relate with others and be compassionate and help them, want to help them because I know how many years I struggled and I felt like I wasn't enough and what was wrong with me? Why were these situations coming in my life that were hurtful? Um, and I was able to turn that around through my own healing. And now I feel joy every day, where before I struggled to feel it weekly. So I want others to experience what I now experience versus staying stuck, because it's really easy to stay in that position where we're just drowning, barely treading water. And I know that everyone deserves more than that in their life.
Yeah, and for any woman listening right now, if you're going through a dark night of the soul, you're struggling, you feel lost, I've been there, Dawn's been there. And I can remember a time probably 30, 40 years ago, everyone says just keep focused on the light, meaning like it might feel dark now, but I can remember a moment where I was at the bottom of a hole and couldn't see the light at the top. And so if you're there, please keep listening to this series, reach out to someone, because open yourself to the possibility of having an earth angel come in. But you have to believe that you are worthy of it. And in our work, in my work with clients and Dawn's work with clients, I know her compassionate heart. It's really about if we can stop you, if we can help you not repeat the same mistakes we did, then our journey has been worth it. I've always said, if just one woman's life is touched through an issue of Aspire or whatever I may put out in the world, just one, then my whole damn journey has been worth it. And I know Dawn feels that way too.
Do.
So thank you. I think that was just that was so sacred, and a sacred reminder for all women. Where you are right now isn't where you always will be.
Mm-mm.
But you have to open yourself up to receive, to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. So we're going to go to the final question, and that's about piece of wisdom from your heart, or a life lesson, or any insight that you would like to leave for our viewers.
I think what I want to say is, I mean, I remember all the years and days and months of going through, what is going on with my life? I'm miserable. How can I feel better? And not trusting. It's very difficult to trust. But if you can drop into your heart, breathe, and remember that there is a bigger plan. The universe is looking out for you, but right now you're stuck in the middle of the hurricane, and it's difficult to see that. But if you can take any little step, any door that opens, try and take one little step towards it and trust that you're being guided to your next space in your life, your next path, and let those messengers show up. The ones that your intuition is telling you they're there to help you. Try to follow them. And I know it's so difficult when you're stuck in those, days that are just a struggle to get through, but try and trust yourself to take those small steps and then watch how your life starts to unfold. Because like Linda said, you're not going to stay in this spot forever, and you are meant for more, and the world needs your light. So please try and trust that you have a beautiful light inside of you, no matter how dim it gets, and keep taking more steps towards opening up that light and your heart.
It's so beautiful. I love that you said the light within, right? Because many years ago when I was on my journey and I was in that dark place, and I took those little steps, I remember people going, "Oh, you have this inner flame inside you," and I'm like, "Well, mine's out. There's 5 pounds of dirt on top of it." And I remember feeling that way because I was hurting. I was lost. And then I remember, because I'm a visual person, so what you said just really spoke to my heart. I remember as I continued taking those baby steps and more like books coming into my life, or I'd hear a speaker or something, just little things. Well, I didn't take big steps. Finally, I remember one day visualizing, and I'm curious if this speaks to you. It was like, okay, if they see that light is there, and it's about trust. So I love that you brought that up. It's like, I'm going to start excavating this thing. So I remember visually going, I'm going to keep digging just so I can find the spark. It doesn't have to be a light, but that was life-changing for me. And now, as you know from our private conversations, I believe our number one responsibility as a spiritual being is to nurture our inner light, whatever that means for you, right? And so trust is a big one. And I'm so glad that your message as we close this conversation out was about that. Because when you're hurting, you shut off that part of yourself. I know I did.
Yes.
And so, as Dawn beautifully said, taking those little baby steps, and trusting even when it feels uncomfortable. I'm going to tell you what will happen. The next step will be revealed, and you're like, ooh, this kind of feels good. And you take it. The trust muscle just keeps getting stronger. And now, like, listen, life gets lifey for everyone, including myself and Dawn. Doesn't matter how long you've been on this journey. But when you realize that you have the power over your inner light, you can get through anything.
That's very
And,
true.
and I want to invite everyone again to visit Dawn at dawnmichellejackson.com. Again, the link is right in the show notes down below. You just got to click it and go visit. And of course, read her story, Angel in Disguise in Divine Synchronicity, Woman's Stories of Magic, Miracles, and Manifesting. You can visit divinesynchronicitybook.com, visit any online retailer, and it will be there waiting for you. Nurture yourself with these stories of feminine wisdom, self-discovery, transformation, because I will promise you, as you read through the stories, they're going to empower you to say, if she can do it, I can do it. So, Dawn, thank you, my friend, for not just joining me today, but excavating and igniting your light, because you are such a bright light in this world. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Linda. It's been my honor to work with you.
And ladies, keep watching the Authentic Storytelling episodes, more to come. And drop into your heart, listen, and just receive the wisdom of these empowered women. Blessings, everyone.